Hello out there in YouTube land. Miles here with Miles on Cars. And today I'm showing you my daily driver, which is pretty exciting. Sort of, maybe not. But I might have some good information for you here if you happen to have any interest in these cars. This happens to be a 2014 Focus SE hatch that I've had now for a little over a year. And it's been a great car. I bought it in March of 2020. It had 80,000 miles on it, 81,000, and it now has 112. So I've put about 30,000 miles on it in a little over a year. So I've kind of driven the wheels off it, and it's been all over the place. I drove it to Detroit and back. I've driven it to Albuquerque and back 2 or 3 times. I've driven it to Phoenix and back, from Los Angeles that is, to Phoenix for the Scottsdale Barrett-Jackson auction and all that good stuff. So what's the deal with a Focus? Well, since 2008 I've always had one of these cars as a driver. I've always had the earlier cars, the 2000 to 07 ones, which are the earlier, the first generation ones. This is the first one I've had that's a 2012 or newer. And there's a lot of good things about these. So I'll try to run by some of that by you. So as I said, this is an SE, so it's a base car. It's not an ST, or it's certainly not an RS. I would have loved to have bought an ST, but I have 2 old collectibles that I've owned for quite a long time, which include a 69 Mustang Fastback and a 66 Fairlane. And you can probably see the green 69. It's in if you look at the photo for my channel, it's there, the green 69 going through a corner. And I'll do videos on those cars down the road here, but for now I kind of wanted to start with this. So one of the reasons I just settled for a plain Jane SE instead of getting an ST, which, those are really cool cars, I admit, but it really kind of came down to the fact that I didn't want to let go of my Fairlane in order to get a Focus ST. So that's why I kind of went ahead and did one of these standard plain lesser Focuses, or Foci, so to speak. So I'll do a quick walk around here. Race red. I wanted a hatch. I wanted my 3 color choices were basically blue, which is the blue candy. It's kind of a bright blue, or the red, or the other choice I would have considered was silver. I really didn't want black or white or gray, and I definitely didn't want the trunk version. I wanted a hatch, because the hatch is just a lot more, it's way more practical when you fold the seats down and you need to move a bunch of crap around and you want to kind of make a little moving van out of it. Then it's pretty hard to beat. So if that's the main reason, plus the fact I think they look better. So anyway, this is my cruiser. And like I said, I have my Fairlane and my Mustang, which I will do videos on those down the road. And but for now I thought I'd start out with this. So the only thing, there's a couple things on these cars. Some of you that are into these at all probably know about the dual clutch 6-speed automatic on these. There's been a number of issues about them, not the least of which is the way they drive. They can be kind of herky-jerky. There's some definite reliability issues on these. If you wanted to really read really closely about the dual clutch issue on 2012 to 18 Focuses and 2011 to 18 Fiestas, the Detroit Free Press has a really good series of articles that explain everything. So how did I circumvent that? Well, I'll show you. It basically comes down to 3 pedals. I went and got a car with a 5-speed manual, and I figured that would pretty much solve the problem, and it certainly has, without having it be a problem to begin with. So if you're interested in getting one of these cars, I would suggest you look at them if you like the way they look, if you like the way they drive. You happen to be sort of a Ford guy like I am, and for me, I'm just really not interested in, I know Toyotas and Hondas and Nissans and Mazdas and Hyundais, those are all good cars and that's fine. But being that I've had, the better part of more than 20 Mustangs, and I've had a bunch of Fairlanes, and I have been writing about Fords on and off for 25 years. I'm not going to be driving a Toyota or a Honda. Sorry. So anyway, nothing against them, but I'm just kind of a Ford guy. So one of the first things I would suggest, if you like manual transmissions, is if you're shopping for one of these and you are considering one, but you're worried about the dual clutch, well, the easiest way to circumvent that is just get one with 3 pedals, get the 5-speed manual. And sometimes some people might think, well, you know, it's not a 6-speed like the Focus ST. Well, the truth is the 5th gear in this car is pretty much the same gear ratio as a 6th gear probably in a Focus ST or a Fiesta ST. So they're a really good way to go. So I just thought I'd kind of, give everyone out there a look at one of these. I know there's nothing that great about them in one sense. They quit making them 3 years ago. 2018 was the last year for these, because the only thing Ford now makes is trucks, SUVs, crossovers, all that kind of thing. I guess the Mustang Mach-E is sort of a car, but the only real car they're still making now that's left is the Mustang. Hopefully they won't take that out of production. So that's the story on 2012 to 2018 Focuses. I think they're pretty cool. The hatch is definitely, in my mind, kind of the way to go. It's kind of a neat setup, same as the Focus ST. Oh, and also, a nice little aside, people that know these cars a little bit, you'll notice that I have ST wheels on it. So I found these on Facebook Marketplace with tires. They were sort of the tires were pretty crummy and worn out, but the wheels were in really nice shape. And I scored them for the plum price of $250. So I still have the original 16-inch wheels that came on the car, but I kind of wanted to have the, sort of the ST vibe. So I went ahead and seeked out a set of these, and I thought it was a pretty good way to go. So it's kind of like a poor man's Focus ST, or like even a poor man's GTI. 3-pedal manual trans, 18-inch Focus ST wheels, and I'm going to be in the market here soon for a new set of tires. And these are going to be, those are the original size on these wheels is a 235/40/18. So yeah, I mean, these cars are really cool. A good friend of mine is another one of my Ford buddies. He's got a 267 fastbacks and a 65 Mercury Comet. One of his fastbacks, one of his 67s, has got a stroke 392 Windsor with a reverse manual valve body C4 and a 150 shot of nitrous, and it runs low 10s. And what's his daily driver? Well, he has a Fiesta ST. I sort of encouraged him to get, one of these sort of sport compact Fords in order to have something fun to drive around when you're not driving around in the old cars, which is, these days you can't really be doing that. So,
hey buddy, how you doing?
Good. So that's kind of the long and short of it. So like I said, I've had a bunch of these older Focuses. This is the first newer one I've had. That is a 2012 or newer. Basically, sort of short version on the earlier cars. If anybody knows about those, I've had about 10 of them. They're really great cars. The best ones are the 2003 and 2004 ZX3s or ZX5s that come with a 2-year only engine. And basically that was a 2.3 liter Duratec that was pretty much the same engine that came in a Mazda 3. I had an 04 ZX5 2.3 Duratec car with a 5-speed manual that I sold to a good friend of mine up in the Bay Area, and he's driving the wheels off that thing and loves it. He put SVT suspension on it, which was basically the shocks and struts and springs and a sway bar, and he's driving the wheels off it and enjoying it immensely. So I decided to sort of bite the bullet and get one of these newer ones. It was a little bit more money than the earlier cars, but I wanted to have something a little bit newer than the 07s, the 07 earlier cars. And so I figured this was a good way to go. As anybody that knows about Focuses would know, the 08 to 11s are, for one thing, none of those were available in a hatch. They were either a 2-door sedan or a 4-door sedan, and the looks of them were kind of sort of not so great. So if you're going to go with an 07 or newer Focus hatch, then you get one of these, which is basically the 2012 and newer, basically 2012 to 18 body style, which is what this is. And like I said, I certainly would have loved to have had I still would like to have a Focus ST, but I'm not going to give up my 66 Fairlane or my Mustang in order to have a Focus ST, as cool as they are. I figured this one was certainly good enough. And interestingly, this is kind of cool. One of the things I really like about this car, you'll notice it has no front fog lights. This car is actually a strip-out. It has no options. I have the window sticker for it. It actually has one option, and that is a cold weather package, which consists of heated seats and rubber floor mats. Sort of strange, but sort of cool. That's kind of one of the things I like about it, is it doesn't really have any options. Cloth interior, doesn't have leather, it didn't have the fancy wheels. I wanted to get these wheels anyway, so that's kind of the long and short of that. I'll go ahead and pop the hood here. There's really nothing to see, but take a look at that just for fun. 2-liter direct injection. These are all a 2-liter DI, and that's pretty much the story. I think these are rated at 160 horsepower, and you know, they run pretty good. I mean, it's about as quick as my 04 Duratec car, even though that was a 2.3 liter. And these are all exactly the same. All 2012 to 2018s are 2-liter DI, the GDI, the gasoline direct injection, and they run just fine. I mean, it's not going to be like an ST, of course, you know, which is another 90 horsepower. So the STs are rated at 252. This is rated at 260. And of course the Focus RS is 350. Those things are just absolutely mental. So anyway, hope you learned something on these. I just think they happen to be pretty cool cars. I mean, sure, I love Mustangs and Fairlanes and all the other early stuff and late model stuff. And you can see the video I did on my channel on the 2020 GT500. So I had a few minutes of seat time in that car last year. Those things are just absolutely mental. And they're just, that's, you know, all the new Mach 1 is out now, and I mean, what's not to like about pretty much any S550 Mustang? But for something a little more practical, and if you're into Fords, these are a pretty good way to go. So any questions you have about Focus, why, maybe, you know, put questions at the bottom of the video here, and, you know, write in like everyone does on YouTube. And I hope you get something out of this. I know my filming skills are not the most fancy thing in the world, but my main objective here is to show you the car and talk about it, and maybe talk about a few things that I know, and maybe try to help anyone out that happens to watch the video. And to me, the purpose is not just to entertain, but also to inform and talk about things that are relevant and try to be factually correct and all that good stuff. So with all that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.